everyone, welcome back to another Coral Island video. I've been playing the game now since around July 2021 and it's obviously out for early release as of now, and so I thought I would do a review of my experience so far and the things that I like and dislike. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first up, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of the accessibility of the game as it is right now. So currently we don't have any controller support, which is a con. We did have it during the testing stages, and I do know that they're working to add that back in as soon as possible. But I do feel like that needs to be like a huge priority, because without having controller support, it alienates a huge portion of people that can't actually then play the game. They have got an accessibility menu within the game, which is a work in progress, and that's been a work in progress for the entirety of the alpha testing. I'm hoping that it means that they're working on something really good that will make it like super accessible for everybody, but as it stands, that is probably the biggest con accessibility wise. However, the pros of the accessibility are that the gameplay mechanics themselves aren't that difficult to get to grips with. So for example, with like the fishing, it's not a difficult mechanic to actually get your head around and start doing. For me, with Stardew Valley, it took me a really long time to be able to learn to fish, because the repetitiveness of pressing the buttons I found really painful on my hands and wrists. But with the mechanics in this game, I haven't found that. Although it can be repetitive at times with like your mouse and stuff like that, it's not to the same degree of like urgency as I found with other games. So I think that that is a good plus for accessibility. And I do think that when they add the controller support and the accessibility options, it will be a lot better. Next, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of the character creation, which I constantly want to call Creator Sim because I'm a simmer, but it isn't Creator Sim. So I'm going to start off with the pros, and that is that we have fully customizable skin, hair and eye color. So that includes changing the tone, the saturation, the brightness. You can tweak it to be whatever you want it to be, which is absolutely brilliant. And I think more games should have this, because you're never going to be able to get everybody's skin tone within a set little box. So for me, that's great. There are 3 frames you can choose from for your body type. So instead of picking like being female or male or non-binary, for example, they have just the 3 frames which you can choose, and there's no gendered terms or anything like that within the game, which I think is really good. Each of the body types has a weight slider, so you can adjust the weight to your liking. I feel like it could have gone up a bit more, so we could have had like slightly fatter characters, but like it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. You don't have to choose a gender or an honorific. So picking the honorific is completely customizable. You can be Miss, Mr, Ms, Mix, and then there's also a space where you can put whatever you want in there. So it can be completely tailored to you, which I think is really good. Cons, I would say that there's very limited hair options at the moment. So when you first start out, especially, I don't know if in the latest patch they've added more for the hair salon. I haven't got that far within the new game that I've started, but throughout the testing, there wasn't any other hairstyles than the ones you start out with. And I do feel like it is limited, especially in terms of like hair textures and things like that. So I'd like to see them add more of those. Another con I would say is the facial structure is like a little bit limited. You have 4 options for each, which isn't bad, obviously. And I think maybe I'm just like spoiled for choice, because I'm used to having like face sliders that I can just do whatever I want with. So part of me just wants that, but I do really like the ones we do have. I think there's a good choice. I like that they're the same for each of the body types as well, rather than it being different ones for each. I like that it's sort of consistent, but I'd like to see more. But honestly, that's the only cons I can think of for the not Creator Sim, the the character customization. Okay, on to the really fun bit, gameplay. So I have got a fair few pros for this, bestie, so strap in. The pros for me are the non-playable characters. So they're all adorable, and in fact, like, it should actually be illegal how hot they all are, because I don't know how I'm supposed to choose which one to marry, because there are so many options and I just don't know how I'm supposed to choose. They're all beautiful. So I love the characters so much, and I yeah, there's good diversity within the characters as well, which is nice to see. It's not just like a bunch of white people. This also includes having disabled characters, non-binary characters. Suki has like stretch marks. So I feel like they've really tried to think about the representation of the characters, diversity, body positivity and things like that, which is really nice to see. I'm hoping that we continue to see more of this when they add more diversity, when they add more characters. So we shall see. I'm hoping that there's going to be some wheelchair users, because inside the town hall, they've got a mobility centre where you can rent wheelchairs. And for me as a wheelchair user, it's just really nice to see. And it would be lovely to be able to be represented in the game. Even if like you could go and rent them, it would mean that I could do my little farming and tootle off around the town in my little wheelchair that I use in real life. So that for me would be lovely. But I love the fact that they've just thought about adding so much diversity to the characters. I like the fact that the gameplay mechanics are fairly simple to use and get to grips with. Nothing feels too difficult. It feels challenging enough that you're busy, but not so challenging that you end up frustrated and like disheartened with playing, which is really nice because you have consistent goals to achieve and there's like a clear path how to do that. And it's not like a real grind. It's like a leisurely one, I would say personally, and it's an enjoyable one as well. It's not, I know for me there's sometimes in games where you really have to grind to get materials and I just get bored, and I don't feel like that's the case with this game at all. I also really like the fact that there is the ability to change the length of the day, meaning you can have more time if you need it. So you can take it right down to 50%, which means that you've essentially got double the time, and you can get so much done. Like you could go off diving in the morning, and then if you've got the hot springs unlocked, you can relax in the hot springs, replenish your energy, and then go about like your day, which is really nice because you've just got less time pressure and you can chill a bit more. The pace of the game for me feels just right. Like there's the things that are unlock at a nice rate. You don't feel overwhelmed with like loads and loads of quests to do all at once, which can sometimes feel super overwhelming and hard to get your head around where to start, especially if it's your first game like this. I know people that have played other farming simulators that the quests have racked up and then they've just felt completely overwhelmed and stopped playing, and I don't feel like this is the case with Coral Island. I think they've paced it really well, for me anyway. I also feel like it's been nice because I've played a lot of farm simulators. They're one of my favorite genres of game. I love a simulation game anyway. I grew up playing The Sims, and then I love Stardew Valley as well. But I feel like this is really nice because it's almost like a breath of fresh air within that genre, because it's added so much more stuff, like the diving, which I just love to do. And it feels like there's this whole new world to discover. Another thing I think is worth noting is the fact that when you have children in the game as well, they actually will age up and go about their lives. You don't, so it's not like you'll die, but like your children will age up, so the town feels more alive. The town progresses as you progress. There's so much to do and so much to unlock that it just feels wonderful. You can have pets, you can have dogs, cats and foxes. Like there's so much to do in the game, and I just don't see myself getting bored, and I really feel like it's a game changer for the whole genre. Cons for gameplay, I genuinely haven't found any yet. And I'm not just saying that, like I've sat here and tried to think of some cons for the gameplay, and I just can't think of anything. There's a couple of things that bothered me initially, but they've been straightened out and they were actually just bugs, or throughout the testing they've like tweaked stuff to make it slightly more enjoyable as an experience, and I don't see any cons as of yet. If I find any, I will update the video or I will put them in the box below, but for me, I haven't found any. If you have, please let me know what they are. I'd love to know. Okay, on to miscellaneous pros and cons, because I didn't quite know where to stuff them in. Pros. So there is a huge focus throughout the game on environmental issues that are super relevant to today, especially in the world that we're living in, where there's constant like sea pollution, air, all types of pollution, and people aren't taking care of the world, aren't taking care of the oceans. And for me, I think it's been really nice to have a game that talks about conservation, education, and it's fun. So it's a huge pro that they've managed to bring in these real life factors and made it relevant within the game in a really positive way, in the sense of you see the problems and you can help fix it. So having your character be in charge of like cleaning these things up and restoring balance to the ecosystems and things like that, it feels a lot more impactful being the person cleaning up the trash, cleaning up like the oil, that sort of stuff within the game. And I just think it's a really important thing to be focusing on, and like a way of bringing awareness to it in a fun way, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I also love the art style. I think it's beautiful. The world is stunning. The wildlife is adorable. I'm obsessed with the animals and the portraits of the characters. Like, I'm so thirsty when I play this game. And they're just stunning. Like, the art is beautiful. And as well, I really like the sound effects and the music that they've got throughout the game. I think it's lovely. They've got different ones for different areas. It all fits perfectly. The only noise I don't like is the noise when you catch a bug. That's the one noise I don't like, because it feels like a negative noise. But everything else I absolutely love. I can't think of any other cons. I really love the game. So if you've got any cons, please share them with me. I haven't noticed any. Okay, on to my overall thoughts. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a surprise to absolutely no one that I am a huge fan of this game, and I can't recommend it highly enough. I haven't played a game like this for a long time that's had me fully hooked, especially a new game that I haven't wanted to put down and that I've just absolutely loved. And the joy of like discovering the cutscenes and the characters' personalities and the way the environment adapts, everything about it I've just loved. So for me, I love it. I think if you like traditional farming simulators, I don't think you'll be disappointed by this. It continues to get better with every single update. It consistently surprises me. It's a fresh take on a genre that's been around for quite a while now. And I think that that's a really good thing. I love the focus on the environment, which helps the community in turn with helping that. I like that the characters feel warm, and I can't wait to see them add more depth to them as well. And I can't wait to see the new characters they're going to add and see what diversity we get and who we're going to get next. I just feel like I'm constantly changing my mind about who's my favorite, and I just love it. I think even if it isn't your normal game as well, so say you don't play farming sims or even sims or anything like that, and you're humming and hawing about the game, I think watch some streams, watch some gameplay, watch stuff to like make up your mind fully before you buy it. But I just don't see how anyone could not love it. And I'm sure that there's going to be people, like, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But I think watch some content and make up your mind from there, because you might end up really loving it. I think the game's absolutely worth it. If you've got the money to do it, I would say get it. Despite it being in early access, it runs beautifully for me. I haven't experienced that many bugs, especially not in the latest like patches and updates. Obviously there are some here and there, so it is worth remembering that it's still early access. But if you've got your eye on it, if you're thinking, you know what, I want this game, and you've got the money to do it, oh my God, do it. You won't regret it. It's so good. But that's me done. I will be back with some more Coral Island videos. I'm going to be going into the different seasons, talking about crops, prices, things like that in some more videos coming up. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And I stream every Monday, Tuesday and Thursday over on Twitch. You can find me here. And I'll be streaming Coral Island and things like that. So hopefully I will see you there. But if you've got pros and cons, your favorite things about the game, pop them down below. I'd love to hear. And have a lovely rest of your day. Bye, guys. Oh, and in the words of Paul, leave only footprints.